Welcome to NaxToCell. In this video we will show how to access the help documentation about functions, how to work in NaxToCell environment, and some tricks for handling matrices. To access the information about each function, just look for help. For example, if we go to the N2C elements function and click on help, it has opened the help on exactly that elements function. Once in the help, if we open the drop-down menu in the left column, we can find all the NaxToCell functions information. For each function, the input arguments are explained, and what is the output table or matrix that is going to get from there. The functions have input and output arguments. In this case you can see that the function has three input arguments: the path where the file is, the list of IDs we want, and which super element it belongs to. As you can see, some arguments are optional. For example, if we check the mark 1, we can see that when using -1 or leaving it blank, all the IDs of the model are considered. It is optional, since if it is not filled, the function will retrieve all the IDs of all the elements. The second argument is also optional, and extended information is shown in the remarks numbers 2, 3 and 4. For example, number 2 reflects what happens if leaving blank. So, every function has input arguments that are filled to obtain the desired information. In this case it will return an n by m matrix with information about elements, two-dimensional. The first dimension is the number of elements as per input selection, and the second dimension has the information that appears in the columns: the element ID, the type, the super element it belongs to, the property, the material angle for C quad and C tria elements. Go down the help page. We see that there is all the help of all the functions that there are, where we can look for the one we want to use at a given time and get all the necessary information. Another important aspect to know when using NaxToCell is that there are two ways to work with functions. One is directly using the wizard, and the second is by typing the function directly. If you type the previous function directly, it forces you to press Shift-Control-Enter to return the table and only gives you the first position of the table, the value that we indicate. If we extend the range of the matrix, we must also press these commands to update the table. Therefore, you have to select a range large enough to fit the entire table. For example, if you select a range that is not large enough, only the information that fits in the space you have selected will be displayed. In case of selecting more than the count, there will be no problem. It will simply appear that there are no results. It is not a number. This way of doing it manually is some way less intuitive, but in Microsoft Excel's versions prior to 365 2019, or 2020, the wizard does not exist, so you must do it manually. If on the other hand we use the function argument wizard, the complete table of results appears directly with all the information. As the table is an Excel matrix, it is not possible to delete elements. If you try to delete any data, a warning appears indicating that part of a root cannot be modified. So if you need to delete the table, you must select everything, and click on Delete. This is a matter of Excel itself. That is, it depends on the way Excel works with the data and with the functions that display matrices or arrays. As mentioned before, NaxToCell functions work exactly the same as other Excel's functions. This means that when any of the arguments change, the function is recalculated automatically. For example, if you change the path, the complete table, it is recalculated. This is one of the key functions of NaxToCell, that tables can be easily updated in the event of different results files are generated, just by changing the file. NaxToCell and Excel store the information in memory for first time they are accessed the results files during each session, so it could result eventually in high memory usage. Once stored in memory, access to any information is very fast, since NaxToCell won't query again the results files. That means that if, for example, the file changes, you would have to close the Excel session and reopen it to update it with the new file you've put in. That is in case the file changes during the Excel session with NaxToCell, otherwise it is not necessary. Here ends the brief explanation of the NaxToCell help and working environment. We hope you find it useful, and see you in the next videos.